it's Sunday, and that means it's Cursed Realm and Nightmare Corridor time. So I'll be showing you guys my teams for this round of the Cursed Realm and the Nightmare Corridor. Let's start out in the Nightmare Corridor. Now, currently I'm hanging in the top 200. As per usual, I drop out of this and landed like the top 1 to 2% at the end of the rotation. However, it's nice to flex right now, even if it is temporary. And obviously I'm in region 7, so that's why my rank is so high. So for the first team here, this is the, well, I mean, there's a lot of options in here, but this is what I'm doing, right? I'm using Brutus at Mythic with the 30 signature item, and then I'm using Awakened Sophia. Replacements for this team, if you don't have Awakened Sophia, you can try using Joan of Arc in here. As for the other heroes, there's lots of different replacements. You can use Warwick in here, you can use Antandra, Anasta, you can use Naruko, Vithiel I'm already using. But yeah, and also Gabius has found use in here as well. There's a lot of things that you can play around with. For the pet, I'm using the Fox, but you can also use the Fire Breather pet if you so desire. And here are the collections. Next up, we have the Scarlet team. Now, for the Scarlet team here, I'm using the Eugene version. If you don't have Eugene at all, you can use Rowan in Eugene's position for a very similar result. If you do have Eugene and you've popped the trial, try testing some hits with and without the trial version of Eugene, because for me, the trial version was significantly worse than the this version, the Mythic Plus version that I have myself. So that's something of note. For the pet, I'm using the Panda. If you don't have the Panda at level 18, you can use the Panda at level 15, or use the Blade Ridge pet at level 15 or below. Blade Ridge does pretty much the same as Panda below 18. So yeah, use that. And here are the collections. Next up, this is the Baden team. Nothing to be said as per usual for this team. Only thing that you need to understand is that you need Trashia's Engraving 30 for this team to work at all. Otherwise, this is just the team, and here are the collections. Next up, this is the Leica team. I'll also show you guys a variant without Leica. But yeah, I'm using Leica in here, and I'm using Rain in here. The reason I'm using Rain, there's also other options. For me, Rain is a very consistent way of hitting around the 20-second mark, which is what this team aims to do. And here are the collections. Next up, this is the Baden team. Now, this is a high RNG team for me. I only hit this 28-second attempt once in my, well, I don't know how many times I rewound, but once. I only hit this 28-second time once. So yeah, high RNG. One thing you want to note is that you want the soul or the SP, the awakened effect. You want that on awakened version of Soulless and not Baden. And you can play a bit around, and you can play around with the positioning of these heroes. One thing you can try is trying to frontline Soulless in this position, and that's also an option. Here are the collections, yeah, and obviously. Yeah, the bigger Baden, the better, probably. I mean, for me, this is a borrowed Baden, obviously, but for some people who have Baden of their own without this crazy investment, I've heard that this team doesn't provide such a good time. And then lastly, this is the Awakened Athalia team. Now, I am using Lawson, but for many people, Lawson will not work, so you have to do other things in here, like using Screg, like using Atheus instead of Lawson in here, could be options for you. The reason I'm using Lawson and the reason Lawson works for me is because of my pretty steep investment into both Athalia and into Palmer. Palmer is my most invested hero at E68 and also at the signature item 40, and Athalia also with the signature item 40. And if you don't have Athalia at signature item 40, I would highly suggest you use Atheus instead of Lawson for stability in this team. But you need to try and fail by yourself, right? Basically, it's trial and error. But I'm sure you guys could figure it out. And yeah, here are the collections. Now, one thing of note for the first team, which I should have said instantly when we got over the team, a new variant of this team has shown up. And unfortunately for all of us, or for many of us, the fraud himself, Awakened Thane, has shown up in this team. Now, for me, and for obviously for me, I can't make this team at all because I don't have Thane, and I also don't have the Adrian at signature item 40, which he might require. I talked a bit with one of the whales in my guild, and he told me that he wasn't able to really make this team work. So I believe it requires some pretty steep investment. But if you have Thane, go ahead and try it out. But for me, obviously, I can't even attempt it because I don't have Thane. So those were my teams. Now let's go over to the browser real quick, because I do want to show you guys this guy's team. And there's not really a reason I'm showing you guys this guy's team, because they're pretty similar to mine, right? There's a bit of formation difference, and as you can see, for whatever reason, he's able to get the very fast kill on Scarlet, which I don't know. Like I actually don't know why. I've tried so many things with collections and stuff, but for whatever reason, I can't make this work. But the one thing I do want to show you guys is what I used, Leica. Here he's using Rem instead of my Leica variation. So if you don't have Leica, or you can't merc Leica or whatever, as you can see here, Rem is like a 2-second difference, and I mean, everyone has Rem, right? So that's a very cheap alternative. So yeah, just wanted to show you guys that. And also here's another variation of the Athalia team, right? As you can see, he's using Mortis in here along with Damon. So you could try out that. But again, he also has the SI40 on Athalia. I just wanted to show you guys this real quick. I'll also link it in the description below. Right, back to the game. That was the Nightmare Corridor. Let's head over to the Curse Realm. Now for the Curse Realm, this week I'm not going to do too hot because I don't have Lucius. And that obviously hinders my progression or my overall damage as much as by a significant margin. But I suppose many of you guys might not have Lucius either, and in that case, I guess I can help with my formations. So you could copy what I did. So for the first team here, this is a Baden team because of my lack of Spooter level 18. I think you need it at 15 for this Spooter to work. Below 15, well, we can take a look at a guide afterwards, which I'll show you guys what to do with the pet situation if you have lower level pets. But yeah, this is the Baden team. One thing you can use is the new Hypergen hero can be used in this team, but I don't have him, and I hope most of you guys didn't build him because he's not that important. So yeah, I don't have him. And also one thing of note is that this Baden team is pretty RNG, but it hits like, it's like a 3 billion variance for me, right? It hits like between 16 and 19 billion. Speaking of variance, here's a high variance team. This is the Scarlet team. Oh, and also real quick, here are the collections, right? So this is not the Scarlet team. This is the Belinda team. And for this team, yeah, I don't know. For me, I was struggling hard with the Belinda RNG. I basically only hit 20 billion plus, I think 3 times total in my tries with this team, and it had to be this position. And here are my collections. Now, one thing I will tell you guys, if you can't hit this RNG at all, if you swap out Liberta with Jerome instead, you can get around like a 16 to 17 billion stable Belinda composition. So yeah, if you can't hit the RNG with the Liberta version, try using Jerome in here, and that will give you a much more stable outcome for the battle. Next up, this is the Seal team. It's pretty free-to-play friendly, right? It's just filled with dimensional heroes, and if you don't have Atheist, I guess you could use like Merlin, and obviously if you had like Gavius or Matria or Brutus to a significant build out, you could use those heroes instead. But for me, I'm just using 4 factions, I guess Kassad at Mythic 30, but most people have that, right? And yeah, obviously the Seal is doing all the damage in here. Next up, so this is where the Lucius team would be if I had Lucius, but obviously I don't have Lucius, and this is and thus we end up at this team. This team is a bit of RNG. It varies between 7.5 and 9.5 billion damage, which is obviously much lower than the Lucius variant that can do like 20 billion in here. But for people that don't have Lucius, this is an alternative. I'll also show you guys an alternative to this composition. And basically that alternative is needed if you don't have the Fox at, I think, 15 or 18. And obviously if you're missing any of these heroes, it will also be a good alternative. And here are the collections. I can't remember if I showed you. I believe I did, but yeah, here are the collections. Next team. So this is a pretty expensive team, right? Double Awakened hero. One thing of note is I'm using the Sophia SP effect, and another thing of note is that you can try swapping around with the positioning in this team. Pretty much any position works for this team. You just have to find the position that works the best for you. So for me, that was frontlining Palmer, and then obviously doing as you can see here, right? This was the formation that was the best for me. For a lot of people, doing Chimera in the first position and then Sophia in the second position was better, but for me this peaked a lot higher in the old damage department. Next up, so here you need to be careful because I have the deer at level 15. If you don't have the deer level 15, I'll show you guys what to do. Well, right now actually, but yeah, just know that if you don't have the deer level 50, do not attempt this comp. I'll show you guys what to do in that case. And here are the collections, and obviously, yeah, it's an Athalia round, and SI40 probably adds a bunch of damage. But as I tell you guys, if you don't have the collections and also variants of the comp, let's head over to the browser real quick, and I'll show you guys this. Now, two things of note for this thing. One thing is that it's outdated, as you can see here, it's a month old. And another thing to note is that it is not using the current best in slot Linda composition. As you can see, it's using Jerome in here, where the best in slot runs Liberta. And then as for Lucius, I don't know if there's an updated version. But the main things I want to show you guys in here are, for the first team here, well, here's a a Leica variant of the first team. So if you guys have Leica at insane investment, you can do this, but it needs the pet level 18. So again, for most people, they don't have this Spooter pet at level 18, so don't even attempt it. And even with pet level 18, obviously, I think Baden might just be more stable, but obviously Leica apparently can peak higher. But yeah, here's a Baden version with Liberta. Now, obviously, I use Liberta down here, so if you don't use Liberta in here and you use Jerome, you can try using Liberta in the Baden team. But the Baden version that I'm using is this one, and as you can see here, if you don't have the Panda, well, it's, as you can see, I don't know what it says, right? I don't speak this language, but if you have the beasts at level 12, you want to use the, what is this guy even called? Fire Breather? No. I'm not sure what this guy's called. Actually, I think he is the Fire Breather, and this is the Talisman. Well, I swapped those earlier when I said when I spoke of the Talisman. But yeah, Fire Breather at level 12. Here's the Linda comp, right? And as for variations, there are a bunch, right? Most significantly for many of you guys who don't have the Panda at level 18, here are the variations, right? With these pets instead, and obviously. Try using Jerome in this comp. It adds a lot of stability in general if you can't get stable Linda hits or even hit the RNG that is needed to take her above. Here's an interesting one, right? Because most people don't have Gavious built, and I don't have Gavious built, so I end down in this. I end down here in this variation. Now, I swapped Leonardo and Emilia's positioning. Well, because Leonardo's initial stun hits the entire board, which I don't think he does if he stands in this position. So that's a slight thing of note. But yeah, here's a free-to-play variation. And obviously I'm not using Melusina, Baba Yaga or whatever. I'm using Atheus in here. Here is the Lucius formation. So if you have Lucius, I would honestly look at the leaderboard because I'm not sure this one is up to date. But for me, I don't have Lucius, so I end up down here. But I don't have Matria, so I end up even further down here, and this is where I end up. But if you guys don't have the Fox pet at level 18, you can go down to this formation, which I also tried out, and actually this one turned out to be just about as good as the Fox variation with Scarlet. I think it was like, I think I hit like 7 or 8 billion, where I'm hitting like 7 to 9 with this one. So it's like very similar. So definitely try both of these out, especially if you don't have Tricia at a high investment. This formation I went over, right? I'm using this one. Here are some options. If you don't have Sophia, you can slot in Rem. And if you don't have Chimera, well, guess what? You can slot in Rem. Right, and then we go down here. And this is where the pet comes in, right? Because I said if you don't have this pet at level 15, try something else, and that something else is this one, I believe, right? This is a no Athalia version, this is a no Vithiel version, and it's using the other pet, right? I'm pretty sure this one needs level 15. I can't read this text, but it does say 15 here, because it provides a shielding which is needed to survive for the boss. But yeah, here are some variations anyhow. So yeah, I'll obviously link this one down here. As you can see, it also has like Merc priority and stuff. A bit sad it isn't in English, but we can all read pictures, right? And we can all read numbers, and that's the most important part. So let's head back to the browser real quick, because that is actually it for the video, right? Because I went through both of my teams. I guess we can do an obligatory late check-in on the treasure scramble. The season is over, but here are the teams that I used to rank within the top 100. So when the smog rotation, comes around again, yeah, ignore my 7th team. If you have Lucius, make a Lucius team. But yeah, these were the teams that I used to rank in the top 100. Right, that's it for me. I hope you guys have a nice Sunday, and hopefully this video helped you guys improve some of your scores. See ya. Well, isn't this lovely? As I was about to upload my video, new Curse Realm information or a new Curse Realm guide has been dropped. So, as you can see up here, I was just about to upload my video, but I do want to throw this onto the tail end of my Curse Realm guide. So I'll just throw in this in as a bonus information at the end of the video, and obviously I'll link the guide in the description. So for this first one, it tells you about the Merc priority, right? And this is what I'm doing, right? I'm doing Baden for round 1, but obviously if you had Baden, you would Merc Lucius, right? So for this first team here, as you can see, a bit of changes has happened, and the thing is that this guy, the new Hypergen hero, actually works at E, what is that called? Elite Plus, I guess, or actually just Elite. As you can see, it's doing 19 billion damage here, which was what I was getting with Odin fully built out. So if you have this guy at Elite Plus, you can actually use him in here. Yeah, for the second team here, as you can see, this is the Belinda team. Nothing of note here. One thing that this guide does tell you is that this team, apparently, Lavatune needs to have the lowest HP to receive Liberta's Orb. But yeah, I mean, yeah. So if you're struggling with RNG, this is something that that you can try to make happen by removing gear and such, right? For the third team here, this is the Seal team, right? And it's actually doing exactly what I was doing, right? Here's a Mulan variant that I didn't show in the previous guide that I showed you guys. But obviously, this one requires a Brutus, so yeah, not really something I could do anyhow. And here is the Lucius, for those of you who have him. As I discussed earlier, I don't have him, but it seems that this is a bit different from the one that we saw in the outdated guide. And it has variations here with Adrian here, but obviously Adrian is probably required at the plus 40 signature item. I would imagine this is what the 4 indicates, but I'm not actually sure. And then obviously here, I'm guessing these are replacements as well, but not sure because I can't read the language. I guess you could screenshot this and translate it through some sort of third-party software. I guess that could be done. Next up, yeah, I mean, this is just what I thought. So, and as the guide that I showed you that was updated suggested, you can replace Sophia, but that guide said that you could replace her with Rem, and this guide says that you can replace her with Joan of Arc. So you can try both of those things out and see what has more success for you. And here it is, right? The last team here, and as you can see here, it says that you need the level 15. The level 15 Deer, and if you don't have level 15 Deer, you need to run Helios, because Helios offers your team a shield, and a shield is crucial for this round of the or for this boss rather, because if you don't have a shield, your team will just instantly die, right? So if you have Panda, or not Panda, if you have the Deer at level 15, you can use this variant, and if you don't have the Deer level 15, you want to use the Talisman along with the along with Helios to provide shields so that your team does not die out. Great. That was just a quick add-on to the end of the video, and I'll link this guide as well in the description down below. Right, now I'll see you guys next Sunday.